Nigeria has been battling with ethno-religious conflicts that have caused devastating human and material losses since the return of democracy in 1999. A number of those have been significant, including the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, banditry and organized mass school kidnappings in the northwest, farmer-herder crisis in the north-central, separatist movements in the southeast, militancy in the south-south, and recently, ethnic clashes in the southwest. Religious sensitivity in Nigeria has provided fertile ground for the breeding of some extremist groups. But the situation where many young men are enticed to join such sects is also aided by the prevailing economic dislocation in Nigerian society and the advent of party politics and the politics of anxiety, the associated desperation of politicians for political power. These internal factors make a highly volatile Nigerian society prone to violence and ultimately resulting in military involvement in the maintenance of peace and security within the country, in addition to protecting the physical integrity of the Nigerian state. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund has responded to the recalcitrant national security challenges by engaging the armed forces at the highest level to promote a paradigm shift at TETFund and enlist the problem statements of the armed forces.
Defense and security, I tell you one thing. Here we are. We know that what insecurity has caused this country, whether it is insurgency, or it is kidnappings now for multiple reasons. They know better why they are doing so. I always say armed robbery has become a lesser crime recently. We can go on and on. And you now know. But then, we as researchers, we need to put the question. And of course, talking about defense technology overall, who says that we should not have our own defense-specific UAVs? Of course, the UAVs are used for multiple purposes. In fact, agrobase, where DICON recently, Defense Industry Corporation, Kaduna, and believe me, multi-purpose, as it were, AFIT also, right? They demonstrated the use of UAVs for both defense and agriculture. One moment is used for defense. That is the beauty of innovation. So we are looking at that, and we are encouraging the researchers. Only recently, I know we are evaluating research grants won by agencies. I want to say this to the credit of Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna, that they have been doing very well. Don't forget that we are funding them. They are one of the beneficiaries of TETFund. So they have been winning National Research Fund grants. In fact, scaling up even their rates of successful grant application. We have to look at that. If there is no security, tell me what else we can do in this country. At the time of this challenge, and imagine for a moment that all countries say, look, we are not going to sell any form of arms. The smallest, the small light weapons to the even bullets or whatever. And we say, look, this is an insult. We have the best of scientists and technologists in Nigeria operating order. Let's get them back. And what we need to do is let's improve the environment for them to operate. Improve the environment, the research environment, and other welfare aspects for these guys. So we need to undertake research for the technologies, for the innovation.
TETFund's Standing Committee on Research and Development has defense and security as one of its thematic areas. Professor Mohammed Ahmed Makarfi of Bayero University, Kano, is a member of the Defense and Security Group of the RDSC.
First and foremost, we must realize from where we're coming from. Hitherto, the establishment or the proposed establishment of the National Development Plan Committee, what used to happen is that the academia, the industry, and the public sector, which consumes most of the services, as well as the general public, all operate in silos, each independent of the other. The committee I belong to, the military in particular, also have nothing to do with the research institutes. Whatever we do in the research institute or in the polytechnics have no direct bearing on what happens in the armed forces or in other sectors or in agriculture. This is the first attempt to bring all these compartments, all these silos, to be talking to each other, relating to each other, connecting with each other, working together in harmony so that they can achieve the overall national objective of achieving national progress and growth.
On several occasions, Nigeria has reached out to its allies for high-tech weapons and machinery to tackle insurgency. Unfortunately, on several occasions, the country was turned down at its hour of dire need. This underscored the profound need to look inward and develop homegrown solutions.
If you look at the armed forces, they have to import ABCD of the equipment they use. They have to produce mass ammunition. They have to produce so many other things. When our research efforts in the polytechnics and the research institutes or in the academia, in the universities, have no bearing as to what the military require. So that directly is a disconnect between these two, the various arms. So, but the triple helix model, which we are here to facilitate the implementation of under the National Research Foundation that is proposed to be established, we are trying to see how we can bring all these different silos to be communicating to each other so that each responds to the needs of the other. The industry looks at exactly what it's needed and then develop along those lines. The research institutes observe the problems in society and try to develop solutions to those problems, and then offer opportunities for industry to invest into those new researches that have been found as solutions to national problems. And then, of course, the nation now picks it up. Automatically, business will be very keen to promote anything that will develop it and make some little margins across in the national interest.
The ability of a nation, to wage war or even to deter potential adversaries depends to a large extent that nation's capabilities in the area of technology, or in general terms, depends on the technological advancement of that nation. And one can also liken this to what is also said, that most armies of the world today, they are reckoned and rated based on their achievements in the area of technology, that is talking about their ability to develop, employ unique technologies to confront unique security challenges.
Another key reason why Nigeria needs to develop its own defense and security-related technology and continually improve it through research and development is the fact that the Nigerian terrain is unique. This determines that the nation's defense needs are unique. Therefore, the response to those needs must in turn be unique. Defense technology must be tailor-made with precision to aid our own armed forces.
The challenges that confront us today, most of them are unique. And if they are unique, what it means is that you cannot go to another country and immediately pick up those defense solutions from the shelves. They are not there. They expect you to profile solutions to what your problems are. So we must look inwards and we must think out of the box. And it's only through research and development. Because if you must create solutions, develop solutions to confront these unique challenges, it's only through research and development. So you need to invest in research and development. You need to create an enabling environment for research and development. You need to fund the research and development. You need to also define a workable structure and support it in all ramification. I think that with what we are seeing now, we are on the pathway to success. What is required now is for us to remain focused and not to be distracted. For the armed forces, we have realized it, even before now. But the problems we are having has to do with implementation in certain areas, because The National Defense Policy aptly captured the need for research and development and talked about the need to establish Defense Research and Development Bureau. Also talked about the need to also empower DICON. And in all this, there must be infrastructural development. If the infrastructures are not there, if the laboratories are not there, there's little or nothing you can do.
As it stands, TETFund's R&D intervention in the defense and security subsector has already begun to bear fruit. Through the Defense Research and Development Bureau, the need for rapid development and harvesting of resident skills, technologies, and innovations in Nigeria on unmanned aerial vehicles was identified as a priority project. TETFund sponsored the first national UAV talent hunt held at Air Force Training Institute, Kaduna, in November of 2020. The effect of this singular effort signified a model that could be adopted to reverse brain drain in Nigeria, as the winners of the contest were Nigerian undergraduates schooling in London who got the information about the contest online, applied for it, and returned to Nigeria to participate. It is heartwarming that we can reverse the ongoing brain drain of young Nigerian talent using this model. TETFund is also revitalizing the advancement of Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, by providing a special intervention to fast-track research and development on material science engineering to develop indigenous alternatives to ensure import substitution and strategic backward integration of arms and ammunition.
Imagine a situation whereby you have like an ISR aircraft, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. And this ISR aircraft is supposed to give you some information when it's overhead the enemy. And for certain reasons, when it's flying over the jungle, maybe the enemies now decide to take cover under the trees. So you have a situation whereby the camera cannot penetrate the foliage. And this is a situation that we had to overcome. And you go to the camera companies, they will tell you that they do not have cameras to address that situation. And you go around the world, you cannot buy the camera. So what are you supposed to do? Because unless you address this, and you can only address it through research and development, the companies do not have the solutions because they are not ready to invest so much resources into an area that they are not sure how much or how many the end users will require. And it's not a challenge that is common to most nations. So if the challenge is peculiar to you, you have the responsibility to start up and to initiate the effort of getting the solution. So in that case, what are we supposed to do? We have experts in the universities. We have industries. Bring them together, task them with this challenge. You can even empower universities, empower research groups in the universities, empower talented individuals, even if it's as a way of talent hunting competition. Assign them to do this. The output, the results now can translate into solving that problem.
The role of defense and security in promoting economic development is to secure an atmosphere of peace and tranquility where innovation can thrive undisturbed. One of the industries that will directly benefit from this is pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria has room for growth and can potentially reach $4 billion over the next 10 years. This is hoping that the economic growth levels will be such that can propel gross domestic product per capita levels to close to $4,000 over the next decade.
And at no time in recent years have we had the challenge of pharmaceuticals. As with the issue of vaccines now, am I right? Drugs. For most of last year, we were praying that eventually some vaccines would be confirmed by the World Health Organization and having been clinically certified to be applied to you and me. Tell me, which type of plants don't we have? From the forest there up to the Sudan, the savanna areas, and so on and so forth. And these plants have substances that can be extracted and characterized, and my oh my, they solve the problems of diseases in a manner you never would have expected. Thank God, the Ministry of Health is setting aside funds for research for both vaccines and drugs. We are aware that there are a number of research institutes, medical and otherwise veterinary, as well as NIPRIT, as we know, Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. They have been working in collaboration, NVRI, VOM, NIPRIT, Lagos, for the purpose of especially the phyto drugs.
Dr. Obi Peter Adigwe is the Director General of the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development and a member of TETFund's RDSC, serving as the Deputy Coordinator of the Pharmaceutical Group.
I'd like to put on record that TETFund was actually one of those groups that were foresighted enough to begin to look in this direction even before the pandemic hit the shores of the country. Myself and a few other colleagues for close to a decade now had been preaching the mantra for us to start to develop local solutions to problems that come up in our settings, and that's why we came up with the concept of medicine security. So kudos to TETFund for being one of the forerunners in that particular arena to identify that there is an urgent and important need for Nigerian scientists to be in a position where we can contribute to addressing our own healthcare needs.
In December 2020, the world was struck by a pandemic, the effects of which were unprecedented. The COVID-19 scourge ravaged both the health sector and the economies of almost every country. After many months of massive investment in R&D by several advanced nations, a number of vaccines were developed and have since been deployed in probably the most ambitious global logistic effort in history. But what role has Nigeria played in all this? The development and deployment of vaccines have provided great opportunity for wealth to countries that have the knowledge. This is a pointer towards what Nigeria's pharmaceutical industry needs to achieve.
It's obviously early days, so we can't say exactly how much the RDSC and the foundation that will come out has been able to contribute to COVID, the response to the COVID pandemic. But already the signs are there. Currently, the nation, as well as the rest of Africa, is suffering for our lack of capacity to develop vaccines and other relevant interventions. However, some of the key issues that have come up in the pharmaceuticals group, as well as in other cross-cutting groups that we have engaged with, have indicated that, number one, phytomedicines is an area where Nigeria has a comparative advantage, and where we need to start building capacity, we need to start ramping up capabilities so that we can start harnessing those capabilities. You may be aware that the agency, which I head, recently developed a phytomedicine called Niprimune, which is based on the plant Andrographis paniculata, and we're pushing to go to clinical trials for COVID-19 for that particular drug. Our colleagues in Thailand, who incidentally have had better funding, already use that particular phytomedicine to manage COVID-19. And so that's the importance of what TETFund is doing today, bringing doctors, pharmacists, and all other professionals that can contribute to undertaking successful clinical trials, as well as providing a mechanism for ready and available funding for those clinical trials to be expedited. If all those things are in place, the next time we have a pandemic, we won't be looking to the West for responses.
Nigeria is uniquely poised to become a world leader in pharmaceuticals because of its closeness to raw materials required for this industry, petroleum processes, and an abundance of herbs.
You have a significant proportion coming from the flora that exists in the country. Those are the phytomedicines. But you also have medicines of petrochemical origin. So medicines that can actually come from our petroleum industry. You know, petrochemicals are now transformed into active pharmaceutical ingredients, which now go into the production of drugs. So whether you're talking of medicines of phytomedicinal origin or medicines of petrochemical origin, Nigeria is blessed in both areas. And those two things have come up in our discussions in the pharmaceuticals group. There is an urgent and important need to develop our capacity in phytomedicinal medicine production. And there is an urgent and important need to develop our capacities, link up with the petroleum group to develop medicines and APIs, that's active pharmaceutical ingredients, from the petrochemical and petroleum sector. So we're looking at both scenarios.
There are a few challenges that the industry will have to confront to be able to grow and achieve levels of importance that are meaningful. These issues include expanding access to wholesome medicines and good pharmacy care for more Nigerians, distinguishing between the practice and the business of pharmacy, achieving inclusion of various stakeholders within the industry, and getting the regulators to facilitate the business of pharmaceuticals. Nigeria will need to build comparative manufacturing advantage and drive sustainable growth in the pharmaceutical industry while positioning it as a priority sector over the next few years.
We are sure of achieving medicine security for our people. Medicine security is a concept that we came up with a few years ago, which argues that unless a people are able to guarantee the production and provision of high quality, safe and affordable medicines for its population, that country will not be able to ensure that that population has good access to healthcare. It's not rocket science, but we've been preaching it for years, and it took the COVID pandemic to open everybody's eyes that this is what we need to be doing right now. So if we're able to articulate and harness these two streams, what we'll be doing is providing high quality healthcare for our people. But at the same time, we will be able to stimulate socioeconomic development. We would have industries on both sides that will be employing Nigerians. So there will be a massive generation of jobs and employment. There will be capacity building. So people who previously used to farm plants and export the plants or just let the plants go to waste, there will be a whole industry that will look at processing those plants. There will be a whole industry that will be looking at getting those plants to the manufacturing line, either in teas, in capsules, in decoctions, or whatever form that it needs to get to. That's all capacity building. Then there is also the obvious knowledge transfer, and obviously revenue generation for both the government as well as the individuals that are engaged in the different sections of the value chain.
Leveraging R&D for sustainable national development and global positioning have been modeled by different countries around the world. Nigeria's economic challenges and insecurity can be mitigated using R&D outcomes and outputs, as well as problem-solving research overall, as a tool for a 21st century knowledge economy. And that is the paradigm shift.